Hello there. My name is Linda Keith. I'm the Chief Credit Trainer with Lenders Online Training, where we help lenders and analysts say yes to good loans. I am joined today by David Stauffacher, our Senior Credit Trainer. Thank you, David, for joining me today.
You're welcome.
So I'm thinking this will be a short live stream. It's like just 3 things to verify, 1 to ignore. How long could this take? But we're not known for short, and truly the purpose of these live streams is these bigger picture insights for you. We don't think of it as training. We think about it as tips and tools and so forth. And so really the live stream goes as long as it takes for us to explain whatever question has been asked. And in this case, it's what do we actually look at? What are the 3 things? Why do we care? And where are they? So David, take it away.
All right. I apologize for chuckling there, but you're right. We get into these conversations and it just goes, and we actually enjoy this. I think most of our viewers appreciate the fact that if it's just conversational, we hit a variety of points that I think is very poignant in their questions that they just maybe not get from another training, and we try to add that as value. So today we're talking about the K-1, kind of a confusing type form that we often get. So there's 3 things that come under what I would say my overview of manner that when I'm teaching our trainer, and this is kind of what I look at to help our lenders and our analysts kind of understand kind of some important facts before kind of getting into the numbers, right? I'm more than numbers, so we want to get into that. So the first thing that really draws my attention would be the name of the owner, or it could be a company, it could be shareholders, could be partners, but I want to know the name of the owner. Who am I dealing with? First of all, and why would I want to know that? Because remember, I like to know the why. That's just who I am. First of all, what if that person is a guarantor? That would be important to us to know. So we'd want to know that for sure. Secondly, well, what about the spouse that you're lending to is not part of the loan agreement? And should they? Right? In some states, we're in Wisconsin, but primarily we're dealing with marital property law as well. But we should know that from a banker's perspective. Okay, so that's number 1, who the borrower is at the time, the name of the owner of the company, etc. Number 2, how about percentage of ownership? Now, why does this come into? Well, when you think about percentage of ownership, I'd like to think of it as who has maybe the control and the decision making, who has, I've used this term as who can control the checkbook. The more of the company that I own, I probably can decide who gets paid and certain decisions. So percentage of ownership. Now, that's important to me for actual cash flow because owners that are high owners or high owners of companies do control the checkbook. They can decide where that money may go, whether it goes personally or what they spend on. The other thing with regard to percentage of ownership is, do I need the other full tax returns? What do I mean by that? If it's a small ownership, most likely I'm lending them individually. They might have a percentage interest in some company, but I won't ask for all their returns. I think at Lenders Online, Linda, we kind of use 25%, kind of that benchmark. If it's below 25%, I probably won't ask for the full return. If it's over that, I want to know more about that company, of what's all involved from the company's perspective, and I'm going to ask for that return. So, percentage of ownership, name of the owner of the company. Now, the last thing is I want the K-1. I want to understand that if it is a final K-1, if you look way up at the top of the return, there's a little box there. If it's the final K-1, that leads me to believe that this is it. It's not going to happen. Either this individual sold his interest in the company, maybe the company is sold, but I want to know that of what to expect coming forward. So we have several live streams when we talk about the differences between the 1120S and the 1065 in our pass-through entity series. So Linda, let's stick with this overview. And what should a lender ignore on the K-1?
Most of it. Sorry. I know that was a short answer. Let's just make it a little bit longer answer. So with regards to the overview items, not so much the numbers themselves, but this overview idea, I also ignore what it says for liabilities. The liabilities listed are their percentage share of the liabilities, but especially with higher percentage owners, they've probably guaranteed all of the liabilities. And so it's not what they guaranteed. It is their percentage share. And that was as of the end of the tax year. Do you think the company might have borrowed more money, paid down debt, etc.? So literally in training, I just say cross that off. Don't even look at it. That is not relevant. If you really want to know what they've guaranteed, find out what they guaranteed. Do not use liabilities on the K-1. I do want to pop back up to that percentage ownership piece. David mentioned the 25%, which is absolutely what we typically use. Mortgage lenders use it. Many business and banks and credit unions use it, but not all. So you do need to know your guidelines. I've seen one that was like 20% or less. They'd use the K-1. You had to be 50% or more for them to actually get the full entity and give you a share of it. And between 20 and 50, they would make a judgment call. They get the full return, but they'd plan to use the K-1 unless there was some huge difference between what the company could afford and what they were actually taking home. So you can have any guideline at your financial institution that your senior credit team thinks best reflects risk and risk mitigation. And that's why it's so important. We use the 25% because we need to pick something to be able to do the case studies, which are a fundamental part of what we do at Lenders Online Training. They are done by our students working under the direction of the senior credit trainers. So rubber meets the road. That's right. David does those all the time. I've done them before. So the percentage ownership, again, it certainly can vary. And with the final K-1, by the way, certainly for projections, we'd leave it out, but for historical, they still did get the money. So that's a good example of when we do for historical, not projected. I think we have a live stream on historical versus projected versus forecasting, 3 different things in my opinion. So the other thing I said was to David, I said, well, not much as far as what else matters. Let me emphasize that because too many lenders are looking at things like ordinary income and thinking it means anything at all, anything at all. So it's so important for people to understand that the other things they ignore are pretty much all of the numbers other than guaranteed payments if it's a 1065, withdrawals or distributions if it's either 1065 or 1120S, and the 1065 does have capital contributed, although the 1120S does not. I think David alluded to the fact, and if he didn't, that would be I don't know if you said this, David, so you can tell me. We have a live stream on 1065 K-1. We have one on the 1120S. So that is where, thank you. That is where you actually will see what numbers do we use. Here's an example of why you can be so misled by the numbers that are there. Ordinary income is that owner's percentage share of the taxable income of the entity. And when ordinary income is maybe a lot less than distribution, some lenders are going, oh, I don't think I can use the distributions. Look at the ordinary income. Quit looking at the ordinary income. Sorry, was that too vehement? The reason is this. If you had the full return, maybe the reason ordinary income is less than distributions is because of a lot of depreciation, which is non-cash, or some major non-recurring expenses that caused the owner to do the right thing and take less distributions home last year to make sure that the liquidity of the company stayed the way it needed to be. And the reverse can happen. Distributions can be way lower than ordinary income because there's a whole bunch of debt. And so the money actually available to the owners is way less than their taxable income. So please don't use all those other numbers. And frankly, if you see a number you're tempted to use, that's when you use experts at lendersonlinetraining.com. You send us an email and you say, Linda, 20G says contributions. Can't I use that? You know, or X says wages. Do I do something with that? Check in. We will help you with those oddball things, but truly watch the live stream, or better yet, join Lenders Online Training, where we actually have a module on each of those K-1s. All of our modules, 30 minutes or less. We have 22 of them on tax return analysis, another 11 on financial statement analysis, which in my opinion, folks, if you're using the tax return in lieu of a financial statement, then you need to apply financial statement analysis information and knowledge and skills to the tax return if it's really just a substitute for you. So all that liquidity, profitability, operating cycle, all of that you can do. I was looking online at another organization that does training on tax return analysis. They purported that this was complete tax return analysis training. What it really was 3 one-hour webinars. Folks, that is an overview, and maybe that's all you need. But if you need more than an overview, that's when you come to lendersonlinetraining.com. /talk is where you check with us and see, is this a fit for you, a fit for your bank? So 3 things to verify, 1 thing to ignore, plus a few more things. David, did you want to add anything, or do you think we covered
No, I
that?
think we got it. If I remember before, we were talking about making this one short, but I think we did okay.
Okay, it's not the longest one we've had. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.